Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us at Yeni Şafak. Today we are honored to have Dr. Khalid El-Awaisi, who is an associate professor at Social Sciences University in Ankara. We have some pressing issues to discuss about Palestine. Dr. Khalid, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Israel does not understand international law, and it does not believe in political solutions. After the provisional ruling was issued by the ICJ, it seems Israel has not ceased its previous actions. In fact, it appears to have increased its atrocities. What can be done to halt these atrocities and establish a workable ceasefire?
First of all, Israel has no boundaries, and the reason that Israel has no boundaries is the complicity of Western governments and Muslim governments in this genocide that is taking place. And this is what has made the situation, Israel going beyond not recognizing international law, humanitarian law, not recognizing anything, because it has been given an open check by Western governments, immediately given it weaponry, given it everything that Israel, political and military support, that Israel has been able to go beyond any limits and does not know any red lines. And the other side of it is the Muslim countries that are not complicit, their silence has made Israel even more aggressive in what it is doing. However, the only way to be able to stop Israel is Israel only understands the language of force. Israel has to be challenged at every opportunity. If you want to be able to halt the massacre, halt the genocide, halt the destruction of Gaza, you have to challenge Israel at every front. South Africa has succeeded in doing this at the International Court of Justice. We need to be able to challenge Israel on the issue of aid. Everyone is silent. Israel says so many trucks can enter today in liaising with Egypt, unfortunately, which is complicit in what is going on. You need to be able to challenge the norm that Israel has created. This can only be done by taking action against this, by sending the aid, whether Israel likes it or not, by breaking the siege, breaking the embargo, breaking the desperate situation of people dying out of hunger. You are doing this, and this is why the idea of the Freedom Flotilla, again, to go to the shores of Gaza, even if it will be attacked by Israel, this is a challenge to the norm that Israel has created in Gaza in trying to starve people to death if they would not die by their bombs. What we will see in the next coming month of Ramadan will be a disaster. Attacks on the Masjid al-Aqsa, which is not a Palestinian mosque, which is the mosque of every Muslim. So if we do not take steps now, then Israel will be able to go beyond, because it has nothing to stop it and prevent it from going further. So for me, this is the only way to be able to stop Israel, is to challenge it. This is the only language Israel would understand. If we are able to do something similar, then especially with the Freedom Flotilla, or with the airdrops, or with whatever challenges the Zionist and Israeli norm, then you will be able to stop Israel.
Many Muslim countries endorse the establishment of a sovereign and an independent Palestinian state within the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital, advocating for a two-state solution. Do you support this proposition?
This is actually based on international law. But as we have started with, Israel does not recognize any law, is beyond any jurisdiction. For Israel, it has made it clear it is against a two-state solution. Israel will not accept a Palestinian state, and the Western world will not be able to implement this. So this is already, it's still dead. The whole idea is dead before it's been even implemented. This idea of two-state solution has been there since 1947. This is not a new suggestion. And there was a Palestinian saying in 1936 revolution that whoever tries something that has already been tried, then he is a traitor. And Sheikh Azzuddin al-Qassam used to say, whoever tries what has already been tried, then he doesn't have a sound mind. This is the problem we are in. We've been discussing the two-state solution for tens of years. It has not yielded anything because Israel is not willing to discuss this two-state solution. Israel is not willing for a one-state solution where everyone is living under a democratic secular state, quote unquote. Israel is not willing to give any concession on this or on that. Israel, with the current extremist government, actually wants to go beyond that. It wants to expel the Palestinians out of Gaza. It wants to expel, and they expel the people out of the West Bank. And these are not my words. This is the words of the head of the Israeli opposition yesterday, talking about this is what Netanyahu and Ben Gvir want. And actually, this is where this settler colonial state, it is not going to give up anything for the Palestinians. It has even bigger aims. And this is the first time we have heard this in Israeli politics, talking about the promised land, from the Nile to the Euphrates, talking about parts of Jordan that need to be included as part of Israel, and going all beyond that. Israel is an expansionist settler colonial state. And the only language it understands is force. It does not understand politics, as in terms of negotiation. It does not want to understand international law. It is beyond international law. It is beyond everything. And if you challenge Israel at any front, then Israel will turn around and say, you are, like it said to South Africa, you are the legal arm of Hamas, you are this, you are that, and then it will call the whole world anti-Semitic because of them being anti-Zionist, not being actually anti-Semitic.
During deliberations at the ICJ, a Chinese representative argued that Palestinians have the right to use armed force against Israel. What is your stance on this argument?
Actually, this is not a new statement. This is international law. When a land is occupied, and you read this in the different international conventions, people under occupation have the right to use any means of self-defense. Israel has turned the narrative of self-defense to itself. It is occupying this land. And this land, according to international law, is under occupation. The Palestinians, according to international law, have the right to resist this occupation, including armed resistance. This is guaranteed by international law. Just imagine, put this in a perspective where we individualize this into a personal matter. If someone comes into your house, which you have taken from your grandfather to your father, you've built it, you've made it beautiful. Someone comes and walks into your house and takes over the whole house at gunpoint and then throws you into the shed. Then, by you resisting, he will call you a terrorist. This is exactly what has happened in Palestine. This is why international law allows for this. However, the complicity of Western governments is they would call the resistance terrorism and take it out of the context that it should be in. These are people who are resisting. They've used every form of resistance, from peaceful protests, which we have seen at the borders with Gaza, the return marches. We've seen this in the West Bank. We've seen people resist in every possible way. And we cannot dictate to them what form of resistance they will do. It is up to the people on the ground to decide what forms of resistance, and international law gives them cover to use any form of resistance against the occupying force that is occupying their land.
Does Israel have the right to defend itself?
Palestine has the right to defend itself. Occupied people have the right to defend themselves. An occupier has no right to make further aggressions against the occupied people. This is how to twist the narrative. And Israel has been very successful, and with all its media arms, has been extremely successful in asking questions. Do you condemn Hamas? Does Israel have the right to self-defense? All these questions are actually trying to turn the light away from the actual genocide that is taking place. Whatever happened on the 7th of October did not start on the 7th of October. Israel in 2005 2014, 2019, 2012, has attacked Gaza without any provocation and has murdered so many Palestinians. It does not need this. However, Israel has made use of this in the international media to call it self-defense, quote unquote, but it's just a play on words to try to get, and I think people are waking up from this. Initially, people were in the shock of what happened, how Israel, with all its might, has lost credibility, has lost its strength in front of just 1,400 Palestinian militants, or as Erdogan calls them, mujahideen. They have lost this in front of one of the biggest armies in the world. Israeli intelligence, everything has been completely discredited on that, and Israel ever since has been in this idea of seeking revenge for what happened on the 7th of October. But it never happened. It started on the 7th of October. The week before, there was attacks on the Masjid al-Aqsa, and the Palestinians have called this Tufan al-Aqsa. 2 years before, they attacked, and this is where the centrality of the Masjid al-Aqsa to the current conflict is. And we need to be aware that the coming month of Ramadan is extremely going to be very critical for Palestine, for Al-Aqsa, and for the issue of Bayt al-Maqdis and the existence of existence of this Zionist entity on this land.
Thank you, Dr. Khalid, for joining us. We really appreciate it.